Hello, my dear children. Today we will study a very interesting poem, that is The Wind and the Moon. It's very easy to learn and it's very interesting as well. I'm sure you will like it. So, before beginning the poem, let's know about the poet. The poet of this wonderful poem is George MacDonald. He was a Scottish writer. His novels included fairy tales such as The Princess and the Goblin and The Back of the North Wind. He was a friend of Lewis Carroll, author of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and and said to be an influence on him. This poem focuses on natural elements and it uses lunar cycle to tell a story of wind and the moon. So I'm sure you all know what is lunar cycle. You can see here in the image how the shape of the moon is changing here, and so here this poem uses this lunar cycle to tell a story. Now I will read this poem for you. Said the wind to the moon, I will blow you out. You stare in the air like a ghost in a chair, always looking what I am about. I hate to be watched. I'll blow you out. The wind blew hard, and out went the moon, so deep on a heap of clouds to sleep. Down lay the wind and slumbered soon, muttering low, I have done for that moon. He turned in his bed, she was there again, on high, in the sky, with her one ghost eye. The moon shone white and alive and plain. Said the wind, I will blow you out again. The wind blew hard and the moon grew dim. With my sledge and my wedge, I have knocked off her edge. If only I blow right fierce and grim, the creature will soon be dimmer than dim. He blew, and she thinned to a thread. One puff more's enough to blow her to snuff. One good puff more, where the last was bred, and glimmer, glimmer, glum will go the thread. He blew a great blast, and the thread was gone in the air. Nowhere was a moonbeam bare. Far off and harmless the shy stars shone, sure and certain that the moon was gone. The wind he took to his revels once more, on down in town like a merry mad clown. He leaped and hallooed with whistle and roar. What's that? The glimmering thread once more? He flew in a rage, he danced and blew, but in vain was the pain of his bursting brain. For still the broader the moon's crab grew, the broader he swelled his big cheeks and blew. Slowly she grew till she filled the night and shone on her throne in the sky alone, a matchless, wonderful, silvery light. Radiant and lovely, the queen of the night. Said the wind, what a marvel of power am I with my breath. Good faith, I blew her to death. First blew her away right out of the sky, then blew her in. What strength have I? But the moon, she knew nothing about the affair, for high in the sky, with her one white eye, motionless, miles above the air, she had never heard the great wind blare. Now let's see the explanation of the poem. Said the wind to the moon, I will blow you out. You stare in the air like a ghost in a chair, always looking what I am about. I hate to be watched. I'll blow you out. So, children, in this poem, the wind is personified as moon and the moon is personified as woman. So, the wind told the moon that he would blow her out because he did not like her watching to see what he was doing. like a ghost in a chair. Here, the moon is being compared to a ghost sitting in a chair because she is white and glows in the dark, just like a ghost. So, the wind is saying that I don't like this moon because she is always watching what I am doing. Okay, now see the next paragraph. The wind blew hard and out went the moon, so deep on a heap of clouds to sleep. Down lay the wind and slumbered soon, muttering low, I have done for that moon. So the wind now blew so hard that the moon went behind the clouds to sleep. Why wind is behaving in this manner? Because the wind doesn't like moon watching him all the time. So what did he do? He blew so hard that the moon went behind the clouds to sleep. The wind was surprised at his own power and he praised himself, for he felt that he had overpowered the moon, and the wind slept too, thinking he had got the moon out of the way. The wind blew so hard that the moon went behind the clouds. After doing this, the wind also slept on a cloud and thought that he had controlled the moon, he had overpowered the moon, and now this moon has gone forever. Now, third paragraph, he turned in his bed. She was there again, on high in the sky, with her one ghost eye. The moon shone white and alive and plain. Said the wind, I'll blow you out again. Now, later, what happens? The very next day, he saw her again, high in the sky, with one ghostly eye, and the moon was alive and shining. Again, this moon came out. Last night only, the wind blew it behind the clouds, and today, the next night, what happened? This moon was again shining high in the sky. Now, this time, because of this, the ego of the wind was hurt. Now, this time, he firmly decided to blow her out until she became a sliver. Sliver means a small scrap. So, this time, he was very much determined to blow her out even harder. So the poet has personified the moon as a beautiful, noble queen who looks upon the sky with one white eye. The moon is shining in the sky. How? With her one ghost eye. Why ghost? The word ghost is written here because the moon is glowing like a ghost. It's white. It's glowing in the dark. It's absolutely white. Now, see the next paragraph. The wind blew hard and the moon grew dim. With my sledge and my wedge, I have knocked off her edge. If only I blow right fierce and grim, the creature will soon be dimmer than dim. Now, to polish his bruised ego, the wind put all his energy, all his might to blow even harder. And he blew so violently all across the world and that he made loud noise, shrill and harsh noises. And he was very confident that this time his effort would surely turn the moon dimmer and dimmer. He blew, and she thinned to a thread. One puff more's enough to blow her to snuff. One good puff more where the last was bred. One and glimmer, glimmer, glum will go the thread. This paragraph says that he continued blowing fiercely and was very happy to see that the moon was getting thinner and thinner. When the moon had finally turned very thin, just like a thread, he got pretty assured that just one more puff would blow out the moon completely. So here the wind is thinking that he is blowing so hard, that's why this moon is fading away with every day. But what was actually happening? This was happening because of the lunar cycle. One day it was big moon glowing there, and after few days it was very thin like a thread. So wind thought that it is happening because he is blowing so strongly, so harshly. That's why this is happening. But this was happening because of lunar cycle. So in this paragraph, he's saying that just one more time, if I'll puff, what will happen? This will blow. This will make blow her to a powder. He blew a great blast, and the thread was gone in the air. Nowhere was a moonbeam blare. Far off and harmless, the shy stars shone, sure and certain that the moon was gone. Now the wind, with all his determination and energy, put the last blow, and the moon disappeared completely. And the stars glimmered shyly, thinking the moon had gone away and will not return. It has certainly gone. The wind, he took to his revels once more, on down in town like a merry mad clown. He leaped and hallooed with whistle and roar. What's that? The glimmering thread once more? Now the wind enjoyed himself seeing his wish getting fulfilled, and he started whistling and roaring like a mad clown. Here, the wind is being compared to a clown because he is blowing wildly all around in an overjoyed manner, not realizing that the moon was just going through its waning process. Now what is waning process? Decreasing process. Wane means decrease. So the wind didn't realize that this moon is just going through her waning process. He thought that it is all happening because of his power. While he was enjoying all this, suddenly what did he see? He saw a sliver of moon in the sky again. Just now I have told you the meaning of sliver. Sliver means scrap, a small piece of moon again the next day. While the wind was enjoying that the moon has gone forever, the very next day what happened? He saw that again there was a scrap of this moon. He flew in a rage, he danced and blew, but in vain was the pain of his bursting brain. For still the broader the moon scrap grew, the broader he swelled his big cheeks and blew. Now the wind was very furious and his head nearly burst, but it was of no use. The more he blew, the more the moon grew. Now what was happening? Now the decreasing process was completed. Now moon was taking its full size. So first there was a scrap, then again this wind blew very hard, and what happened? The next day it grew little more. The very next day it grew little more again and again and again. So this change was happening. So this was making this wind very angry. The more he was blowing, the next day the bigger this moon was growing. And here the wind has been personified as a mighty creature with large cheeks and a brain that is bursting with anger. Slowly she grew till she filled the night and shone on her throne in the sky alone, a matchless, wonderful, silvery light, radiant and lovely, the queen of the night. Now, in spite of all the efforts of the wind to blow out the moon kept growing bigger and bigger. The poet here is actually referring to the waxing stage of the moon. First, in the first half of this poem, the poet was referring to the waning stage, and now it is in the poem is referring to the waxing stage of the moon. Moon is growing bigger and bigger. So the more this wind was blowing, the bigger the moon was growing, and this was making him very angry. While the wind was very angry, the moon sat on a throne in the sky, and she was looking like a radiant queen. Said the wind, "What a marvel of power am I! With my breath, good faith, I blew her to death." First blew her away, right out of the sky, then blew her in. What strength have I? The wind badly misunderstood the lunar cycle of the moon, where waning and waxing happens naturally, and felt that he was the one who was doing it all. He thought she was shining because of his effort and felt proud of his power to blow her out to death and bring her back to life. He thought that first, when he blew, the moon was dead, and now when he is blowing so hard, the moon is getting life, getting chance blow again. So he badly misunderstood this cycle, and he was thinking that it is because of his effort, his power, that he brought this moon back to life. So he was very much proud of him. Now, see the next paragraph. But the moon, she knew nothing about the affair, for high in the sky, with her one white eye, motionless, miles above the air, she had never heard the great wind blare. Now, this paragraph says, now whatever was happening here, whatever the wind was doing, the moon knew nothing about it. Why? Because she was up high in the sky where it was impossible for this wind to reach. So the moon was just doing its work. It was just going, she was just going through this waxing and waning process. And the moon was unaware of the anger of the wind, and also about his happiness. This moon, she knew nothing about all this, because she is somewhere high up in the space above the earth's atmosphere, where the wind cannot even reach her. So she waxed and waned in her usual manner high above the clouds. She has not heard his roar, because she sat up in the sky far above the wind, shining on the earth. Now, here in this paragraph, the moon is personified as a calm, quiet, dignified queen whose dignity and poise is spread in the sky. So, this poem shows the contrast between the two personalities, the personality of the wind and that of the moon. It says that wise people who are confident of themselves stay busy fulfilling their duties, whereas the ones with lower wisdom just stay busy in finding ways to show others down. And this poem gives us a chance to think, which of the two personalities would you choose to become? Would you want to become a person with lower dignity, always finds way to belittle other people, to demean other people, or the one who does all the work and is just busy in doing his or her own work without getting bothered of what others are saying? Now, what moral do you get? The wind has been portrayed as a selfish, ill tempered, proud man who lives in a delusion, totally ignorant of reality. And he takes pride in making himself believe that he is more efficient than others. He also tries his best to show others down. And when he fails, he falsely convinces himself that he is still the best. But the reality is that his presence makes no difference to the stately queen, that is the moon. On the other hand, the moon is personified as a calm, quiet, dignified queen whose dignity and poise is all over the sky. She does not bother herself with the undignified way the wind kept on trying to overpower her. She went on discharging her duties peacefully, totally undisturbed by the futile attempts of the wind. So, in this poem, the wind tries to prove that he is stronger than the moon and believes that he has the power to blow her out of the sky. The moon, however, is not even aware of the wind's presence. This poem contrasts the arrogant behavior of the mighty wind against the calmness of the moon. That's it for the today, children. I hope you have understood the poem well. If there is any confusion, please ask. Thank you.